This video is about Phoenix, specifically why Phoenix is kind of considered the easternmost west coast city, or the farthest from the coast. But considering the way that the coast goes, it's pretty much the easternmost west coast city. So why is this? Well, when you think of the West Coast, you most commonly think of, Washington, Oregon, California. At least when you think of the immediate, the contiguous U.S. coast, the West Coast. However, there's this thing about Phoenix because Nevada and Arizona are often lumped into that gap. This means that Arizona, Nevada, California, Oregon, and Washington, fun fact, those are the 5 U.S. states that I've been to that are west of the Missouri or something like that. I would say Mississippi, but I have been to Arkansas, albeit only for an hour. So I can't say Mississippi because I have been to Arkansas. But maybe we'll just say west of Arkansas. And those are the only 5 cities I've been to west of Arkansas. And when I went to the West Coast, I was in Arizona, Nevada, and California. This was my teen tour. And we had a West Coast bus company. And it went started in Phoenix. We made it to Sedona for the night. We went all the way to the Grand Canyon, back to Sedona, then to Prescott Valley, and then back to Sedona. That was kind of crazy. In one day. Then from Sedona up to Las Vegas, and then back down to LA, making a nighttime stop in Victorville along the way. We pretty much stayed in LA for the next little while before going up to Valencia, down to Escondido, and then going to San Diego and flying back home from San Diego. And it was a West Coast bus company. Now we had to fly in through Phoenix. I'm pretty sure that he would have driven us to Albuquerque if we were then going back west to the Four Corners if we were to do that. We didn't. But I don't think you would find him in Albuquerque. And the reason why is because typically Phoenix is the end of the West Coast. But why is this? Well, for one, it's a major city and it's kind of close. Phoenix is about like 6-ish hours from Los Angeles. And once you get that many hours from the coast, it becomes questionable. But Phoenix is also a major city, and a lot of times people just kind of blend Mesa into Phoenix as well, which would make it even bigger because Mesa is about the size of Milwaukee, which is a pretty notable city. But of course, Mesa is always overshadowed by Phoenix and also Tucson. Tucson, though, being to the southeast of Phoenix and being pretty close to New Mexico, to be quite honest. It's about 2 hours. I haven't actually been to Tucson. And like when you think about the FedEx flights too, the FedEx flights on the West Coast only really go as far east as Phoenix. And then once you get to Phoenix, you have Phoenix, and then pretty much all the other cities are Nevada, California, Oregon, Washington. They don't have flights to Albuquerque. So if you have to ship something, you can use the Oakland hub if you're going from Phoenix to Seattle. But if you're going from, say, Albuquerque to Seattle or Albuquerque to any other West Coast city, you'd have to go back to the primary hub, which is all the way at Memphis. And I have been to Memphis. That's how I got to Arkansas. And I can tell you that Memphis is pretty far away. And obviously, FedEx has a closer hub, they'll use it. But if they don't have a closer hub that they could use, they have to backtrack all the way out to Memphis, which would involve crossing the Mississippi River. Obviously a pain. But again, Albuquerque isn't a West Coast city and Phoenix is. So another thing that could make Phoenix, that I think makes Phoenix the easternmost West Coast city is because as you go north, the coast kind of goes this way, or northwesterly. So this means, for example, that I'm pretty sure California's easternmost point is east of Montana's westernmost point. And that would make sense when you think about it. But, sorry, I was crossing the road. I know I might have lost you. But when you're in the south, you're relatively close to the coast. So when you think about it, as you go up from Los Angeles, you wind up passing just east of Reno and Carson City. And because Sacramento is further west along I-80, and along I-5, where Olympia and Salem also lie, four capitals of the contiguous United States lie further to the east than Los Angeles. And it's all because of the way that the coast curves. That makes all this possible. But LA is still further to the west than, say, San Diego. And so when you think about it, when you think of West Coast cities, you have San Diego, and you could reasonably also include Palm Springs. You have Los Angeles, of course. Then you kind of go out to Las Vegas and then out to Phoenix. And Phoenix is about as far as you can go east. So you can make it to Albuquerque. But Salt Lake City isn't commonly thought of as this West Coast type city. I mean, occasionally it is lumped into the category, but it's rare, even though Salt Lake City is actually, I think, a bit further west than Phoenix. But the reason why that is because Salt Lake City, by the time you get out there, you have Reno to contend with, then you have to go to Sacramento and then to San Francisco. A little bit of southness involved, but mostly west. And by the time you get to Salt Lake City, you're pretty far from the coast, because, I mean, you've only been traveling probably 600-ish miles, if not a little bit more, on I-80 to get there. Phoenix is about, 400-ish miles, so again, it's about the most you could push it. Now, once you get to San Francisco, the coast does pretty much stabilize there. You have some cities that are, a bit inland, but then some cities that aren't. So, you have Portland, for example. Portland, Seattle. Even Spokane isn't much commonly thought of a West Coast city, but that could also be because Spokane isn't really that famous of a city, and it could probably lump into the category because it literally is part of Washington State. But there aren't really that many other major cities. And again, even though it lies at a similar longitude as to something like Yellowstone, you wouldn't commonly think of Yellowstone as a West Coast thing, and it's largely because of how Phoenix is kind of considered like the edge, and how when we look at the tail of the West Coast cities, they always go northwest. They always go northwest. Okay, thank you for watching.